From 2014, news media is unbalanced, but so too are educational institutions. Students are not given balanced options. They're only marks for parroting left-wing narratives without critical thinking. As an example, the conservative voice has the words of a pathologist who really believes in AGW alarmism, Bob Lawson. You're a blogger, David Daniel Ball. Your facts don't even tally with the statements the other day from the Federal Weather people saying that an enormous chunk of Antarctic ice sheet has recently broken off and is slowly heading north. Please, mate, before you put this nonsense in print, at least try to refute the weather science first. While some of the modeling I think is the worst possible scenario, there's no doubt that the Earth's climate is warming, and greenhouse gases, and not just CO2, that are man-made are the major cause. Bob Lawson. Before you challenge me on academic grounds, David Daniel Ball, I have 3 degrees. One is biology, another in industrial chemistry, and third, a master's degree in medicine. So I know that I'm talking about, whereas obviously you don't. Bob Lawson. Your understanding of physics is as flawed as your climate change skeptic blog mate. Here are the facts, mate. The strength of frozen H2O is reliant on temperature and temperature only. The warmer it gets, the less ordered and therefore the less cohesive the water molecules become. The ice event I quoted has been completely stable for all of recorded history, mate. And now all of a sudden it isn't. This has nothing to do... Wait, Daniel, just temperature. There you go. You have learned some first-year uni physics. Bob proceeded to claim injury when asked to make a verifiable fact. He claimed I had abused him when I had not. He claimed I had said I was an authority on global warming when I have not. He admitted that the world was not heating in line with theory, but made the extraordinary claim that was because the effect was logarithmic, and so the more carbon dioxide released, the less the world would respond with heat. His voluminous but irrelevant arguments can be followed in context, and I've got the link there. Thing is, Bob is highly educated. His spelling is poor, for example, not knowing the difference between know, K-N-O-W, and know, N-O. He is highly educated in making assertions, but poor in putting forward verifiable ideas. A cornerstone of science being that theory be testable. When asked to show where he found the so-called outrages, he became abusive or ignored the question and later conceded that there was no such instance. This is not critical thinking, but reflexive thinking and a condemnation of education, which has rewarded him richly with 3 degrees. Tonight, the news media have castigated Mr Abbott for saying he would shirt-front Mr Putin over the M817 tragedy. A reasonable person might have thought that that meant Mr Abbott would meet Mr Putin face-to-face and raise the issue, but the media ran with the idea from AFL, which is historically Victorian, while Mr Abbott is from New South Wales, that shirt-fronting meant Mr Abbott would grab Mr Putin's shirt and tackle him. Pravda responded for Mr Putin, expressing outrage on Mr Putin's behalf at the rhetoric, but Pravda is the Russian equivalent of The Age, and often reports on issues without understanding them. One can only wonder how far the legs of this inflation will take the outrage. No doubt the Greens will draft a warning to Mr Abbott that he must set his phaser to stun. A tax on breeding is being called for by AGW alarmists and must meet with Lawson's approval. One interesting sidelight of Lawson's ridiculous writings is that carbon dioxide is not the main driver of his fantasy of global warming, but it should still be taxed according to his mind. NO8A admits AGW is not resulting in increased extreme weather events. Disabled people can work. Lawson is proof. Jihadism, shirt-fronted. ABC and counter-program imagines a nice caliphate, without interviewing concerned parties that might be affected by a nice caliphate, like Jews, Islamic victims of terror, Yazidi, Kurd. What is a nice caliphate? Does it abhor female genital mutilation? Does it educate girls? Does it have a justice system which is not harsh on the oppressed? Does it practice secular administration? If not, why would it be called nice? The West is paying Hamas to further terrorism. Hockey is correct that the ALP must have a policy on budget for paying for any war they support. The standby ALP policy of stealing from children won't work. Australia is at war with the Islamic State, but not yet effectively facing the Islamic State in battle. Australiana. Howard explores the Menzies era and comes back with the truth that a good Prime Minister will gather around them a good ministry which they respect, good party support and healthy relationship with the Republic. 3 big ticks for Mr Abbott and 3 big minuses for Shorten. Polls show ALP are in front of Libs, but good analysis suggests that that is illusory. 2 young men foully abused a security officer on a train in Brisbane. The word racist is thrown around, but no one is discussing applying the law Article 18C. The regulation is a failure and a limit on free speech.